So when you were there in Mexico, how was the vibe like? Did you
Wow.
feel like you were a favorite? Were you getting along with everyone else? Did you feel homesick? How were
Um,
you during the first few days of the competition? Homesick.
for my family,
Uh-huh.
just seeing people that, because after a while, 1 month, you're like tired already, or 5 weeks, I'm like, I'm exhausted, I
Uh-huh.
want to go. Um, of course, in the beginning, you're amused, but you arrive and you have a schedule every day. You start early, you end late, you're visiting different towns, sometimes hours away. And it's fun, but every day is just really taxing on your body, you know. Good na lang, you're young, you're in your early 20s and you can go, but it was still tiring. And then the altitude was so high. I remember I fainted twice. Once I
Twice.
had to stay, and not join the activities because the altitude's so high. And it's like with jet lag and it was like the first week I arrived. So
Were you able to get by? Did you develop close friendships with your fellow candidates eventually? Who were you closest with during the competition?
well, develop close friends over 5 weeks. I mean, I had my roommate, Miss Norway. Kasi if you really know me, I don't develop friendships like that. Like for me, it's really, it's over time.
Yeah,
But
it takes time.
yeah, and sometimes my mindset's like, okay, I'm open to having acquaintances, but I'm not gonna say someone was my best friend. I got to know Miss Venezuela then. She was very, very nice, Milka.
Milka. Yeah.
Very nice. We were, there was a moment towards the end that we got to chat and, she was telling me about just her experience. Not during the pageant, but her journey. And I just thought it was interesting. And we talked about more personal things, just in general, about siblings, about whatever, right? And Miss Ghana was really funny. But I was friendly with a lot of people. I mean, they give you tips about, when you're there, stick to the South Americans because it's all about strategy, right?
Who gave you those strategies?
Well, of course.
Madam.
Yes, of course. Because,
What did she tell
she's
you?
not going to say, go, I'll spend all this money so that you can have a grand vacation. No, of
So what did she
course.
tell you? Gravitate towards the
Yeah,
Latinas?
that's where press loves, at that time, of course, the South Americans. You have to just somehow, be friendly, get to know them. But the friendship between Milk and I was just not because of that, But she just said, look for the camera, If someone is just shy and they don't hang there.
Buti you were able to converse pa with them knowing that, they speak Spanish. So, ikaw, did you take Spanish lessons then before?
No, I have a little bit of
Oo.
understanding naman of basic words, but
So,
and they spoke a little bit of English. I think, contrary to what people think, she was able to converse in English. But of course, they want you to speak your natural language. I mean, they always have their translators, diba? Because that's what gives them confidence during the pageant. So that's why sometimes I had always thought about, like, what if in Binibining you see someone beautiful, also beautiful as a person, confident, and then local pageants, the moment it comes to the Q&A, it's like they struggle trying to get something grammatically correct, which is actually not fair. Because what if you're from a province and you're born to think in your dialect? Diba? That's what's closest to your heart. I think in English. I understand Tagalog. I can speak English and Tagalog, but I think in English. So that's how I converse with you. That's how I respond. And that's what's closest to my heart, right? So I can passionately answer a question. But if you're from, let's say, I don't know, the Visayas, and then that's how you think, it's such a struggle to have to convert to English, try to speak.
Yes, yes,
And
I
we're
know.
always trying to sound like an American. Why can't we just be ourselves, have the translator there, and answer that question intelligently?
Kasi siguro, I don't know, from my experience, as I listen to you, kasi nga, we're wired to speak English given our history.
Yes.
And we equate speaking English to someone's IQ or intelligence level. And I know it's very wrong to think of that, pero that's usually how...
Yeah, I
Pero
understand.
I understand, di ba, before, I don't know, kasi eto lately na-discover ko na lang, before flying, di ba, Miss Universe Organization would ask you, would make you fill out a form. Tapos one of the questions asked there is, would you like to be provided with an interpreter?
During the Miss Universe. But I'm talking about now,
Oo.
the local pageant. Local pageant. But also when you get there, you have your choice. But for me, because I spoke in English, I can understand perfectly well. Diba? You have that choice.
Yeah.
You have that choice. It's not like, Mrs. Araneta said, well, you have to speak. No. It's whatever you were comfortable with, but I'm talking about the local pageant. Choosing a girl. There's still that control of course, you want to send the best, you want to,
No nga, no? Parang the Latinos have an advantage because they're not pressured to speak in English.
No,
They could
there's
really, all they have to do is just speak in their vernacular to express
Yes.
themselves naturally.
Yeah.
Tayo
There's
parang,
nothing
we have
like-
this, yeah.
That's why I was telling you earlier. It's like, how do you take all the tips that someone tells you, right?
But you know what? You have a point as I listen to what you're saying. Especially, di ba? You were competing in a Latin nation where everyone speaks Spanish, di ba? So, I do get where you're coming from that. Ganyan din ako. Pa nag-iisip ako, I have to speak, I'm thinking in Filipino, but I have to say it in English.
Okay, so let's say where's the pageant? This is going to
Mexico.
be Mexico, right?
Again.
Yeah, so let's say that the person that wins Miss Universe Philippines thinks best in her dialect, right? So let's say she comes from, I don't know, Bicol,
Yes.
and then they have their dialect their own dialect. And that's where she shines because she's natural, she's confident. And then, let's say she wins, right? Then you send her off. So, I'm sure naman sometimes she'll probably, let's say if she wanted to speak well, maybe not in her dialect, but let's say in Tagalog. If someone expresses in Tagalog better than her.
I do agree with you. Kasi if you compare yourself with your Latina counterparts, they would always have an easier time
Yeah.
expressing
So
themselves.
if you had someone translating Tagalog, or let's say she goes there, but she feels better and more confident speaking in Tagalog, answering in Tagalog, then, because sometimes when you feel like you fumbled, because I know when I was in Binibining and I fumbled, there's that moment you think, wow, all of a sudden, like, part of your ego's like,
Crashed.
I messed this up.
Oo.
But I had to get myself together and say, no, you're finishing this. That's just this tiny thing out of what you've done over the last 2 hours here. So don't let it get you down. But some people can't think like that. They can't recover. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, we have our
So
own...
sometimes that's what I'm saying, is that when you feel like that's such a big deal, and then you don't get the American accent right, when we're really Filipino, representing the Philippines, that's what, looking back in hindsight, it's like, why? Why is that not allowed? So
I think...
maybe I'm the wrong person to ask.
I think it's now boiling down to a cultural problem. I don't know.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
But I understand also
But
that we've been wired that way for so many decades, even a whole century, right? So it's so
Kasi sanay
hard
tayo,
to
kasi
undo.
pag nasa ibang bansa tayo, sanay tayo na mag-adjust sa rules nila. Isipin mo, pag may sarili tayong interpreter, oh my God, the organization would adjust to us. There would be an interpreter beside you all the time, 'di ba? But then again, nobody has done it.
Yeah, but if it's offered to you,
full-time in pageants.
there's a difference.
Yeah.
You're not asking; it's being offered. Take it. So maybe we have a problem giving to ourselves. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a difference. It's like, take it. It's being offered. When you fill out something, do you require an interpreter at the Miss Universe? Oh, yes or no?
Yes.
Diba?
Oo, yes. Yeah, but ma'am, I do get where you're coming from. Pero, 'di ba? You were able to redeem yourself. I think that golden opportunity came even without us seeing it full blown. When we saw your scores during the preliminary competition, which was flashed during your
Yeah.
introduction at the start of the finals, you scored high, 9.06. So sabi ko, wow, she must have really performed so well during that time. For you to score 9, kasi your scores both in evening gown and swimsuit were in the
Yeah, they
line
were
of
on the
8.
lower end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sabi ko, wow, at that time kasi wala pa naman social media.
Yeah.
So probably
Yeah.
siguro pwede mo sabihin, huyo kayo ngayon dyan.
Yeah, but that's not me. That's not
Yeah.
me to like just
You must have,
brag.
the judges must have liked you for them to score
Well,
you that high.
I actually, I enjoy one-on-one conversations.
Yes.
I love it. I mean, you know that,
Yeah.
right? It's like before we start rolling, just to meet you and you know.
How was the preliminary interview like? Is it like this on a setup like this where you guys are all sitting down and then you're facing all the judges
like
one
how,
by one?
I guess they're all in these rooms,
Rooms.
and
yeah.
then you just go in, and then you go into the next, and you go into the next, and they interview
So
you.
what sort of questions were they asking you
Oh
girls?
my God, it's very conversational. At least in my experience, it wasn't like on stage like Q&A. It's
Like-
very conversational, like this.
Like this simple questions.
Yes,
na,
very
hindi
simple
world peace
questions like,
type of
what type of
questions.
music do you like? And then some will ask, something a little bit about like what the country is about, political climate. They ask you about like your advocacy, like what are the causes you like to support, and then how is that connected to certain things like growing up as a child? Was it something that you had always been interested in? And for me, like I said, I'm maybe not so good with large crowds, but I really enjoy one-on-one conversations. I always have.
So
I'm
you
like a
left
very
the-
curious person, so I just and that's where I am myself the most. So I really enjoyed and that was my goal, not to sound a certain way, not to be, because you never know what questions you're going to be asked. And I
Yes.
don't know how it is today.
Yes.
Like if that setup is still the same setup, but you're just yourself.
When you said earlier that you felt homesick, did it have something to do with how competitive the environment was?
Miss Universe, I felt it was more competitive back in Binibining.
Back in Binibining.
But there was a pressure. It was a different kind of pressure when it came to Miss Universe, because it was like there was now this pressure to represent your country. And of course, the goal is to bring home that crown. And like I said, Mrs. Araneta wasn't like, oh yeah, go on vacation. She wants you to bring home that crown. And I wanted it too for that. But I will just do my very best. I am not going to beat myself up and say, you didn't win it. So it's not like, they're after they announced the top,
10.
was it 10 ba or 20? Was it 10?
10.
10, 15 or was it 10?
10.
It used to be 15, basta 10, right?
Yes.
In the dressing room, the drama is like people were throwing lipsticks. Like people,
I could imagine.
that was very interesting to me. And that's why actually the Miss Universe pageant is really, truly special. Because other than, of course, wanting to do your best, bring home that crown, you just get to see the way people react to different things. And it really left something in my head today that up until this day, I had always thought about the meaning of real beauty. Always. Because it's like to have a tantrum. I mean, I understand that if you're like 5 or 8 or 15, but some were like 22, 20 something. Of course, I'll say, oh, that's young, because now I'm 53. And I look back and I was 22,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But really, when you look at someone in 20, buo na yung ano mo eh. May isip ka na. So I've never stopped wondering about what is a beauty pageant, a beauty queen. Is it just a physical thing? Is it, or do you have that X factor? And that's why when someone recently asked me this question, what edge do you think you had in binibining? Did you think that you deserve? I'm like, yeah, it's an X factor. I can't even put my finger on it. Sorry, I sound a bit, not that I want to sound arrogant, but my edge was not like, someone asked me, did you train with someone for binibining? Did you, all these other things? No, it was my mindset. It was the way my parents brought me up. My mom always told her children that they were beautiful. And beautiful, like not just physically. It's like in totality, like you're enough. So getting to the pageant and having that is already half of the win, or maybe 70% of
the battle done.
Yeah. Actually, for Miss Universe, it's not really about winning. And if I didn't win binibining that night, then I had it already in my head. It's like whether you win or you don't, you're a winner. I showed you my father's letter, right?
Yes.
I read that to you. And that's what he said. You do this for you. In the end, it's like you are one unique person. And just
listening to your story, it all goes back to your roots.
I think so.
To how your family has raised you, to how your relationship is with them. Kasi for you, as I listen to your story, now that as I talk to you right now, as I realize it, for you to take it all in for a 22-year-old, right after that particular nerve-wracking announcement, hindi ka umiyak, you absorb everything, you just took it all in.
I'm actually really
I have to applaud
blessed,
you for your
because
courage.
not like there are some that the parents aren't supportive. In fact, my parents, kung pwede lang, my dad's like, I don't know about showbiz. You know how they are so protective over their daughters, right? And it was like, first it was modeling, and then it was like, okay, that's what you want to do, fine, I'll support you. I think in the end, it's like, they're just protective. They were fearing many things that maybe I couldn't handle. But then the moment they see naman na I'm okay, then okay, you got this. You got my support. So I'm grateful that I had that, because some people don't. Some people actually don't, even have parents that are alive. Like,
yes.
Or even one parent. But I'm just saying that I felt that was my edge, to have like someone tell me that. I just didn't feel like, what was there to be insecure over? A big celebrity? Well, I'm big in my parents' eyes. I was someone already. So
you're already a
doesn't
big
matter.
winner in your own right, whether
in
you
my
bring
own
home
right.
the crown or
it's
not.
not about like, because you're in showbiz, you're better. No. In my mindset, it's like, you're special. You're unique. You're different.
So it's a life-changing experience for you.
Yeah.
So,
And Mrs. Araneta always told me, you get to the Miss Universe pageant, right? Don't even think about, you didn't win. You're a winner already. You're a winner already. You're a winner already. And she just said, imagine everything like that. It really helped me a lot. And to even have that support, not just from her entire binibining organization team. They were so wonderful. Anything I needed, anything. I felt like she was my second mom. Yeah,
she's one of a kind, no?
She really is. She really is. I mean, I got hurt like hearing things like, of course, you can't help like people would bash her. This was like back in the day, but for what? It's like, if not for her, I don't think that our interest in local pageants or like Binibini or even the Miss Universe would even exist.
Yeah.
Really, like she was so passionate about it. Still is.
She knew what
So,
she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, she got the hang of running a pageant business
Yeah.
and knew and already developed that eye.
Yes,
For
and
the
and
winning
it's like
beauty.
she's strong. That's not in our culture. We're like
Uh-uh.
more on the soft side, and
So, yun nga, hindi ka natawag. So, nung mga panahon na yon, were you still able to look back and think what you could have done in order for you to make it to top 10? Like,
Yeah, of
if we were
course
to
you have
review your
those
preliminary
thoughts.
performance, what would you have
I was
done
gonna
better?
say something funny.
Yeah.
Nung hindi ako natawag, the first thing like, ay, pwede na akong umuwi. Tapos na.
Ganun po.
No, but because it's tiring. But meaning home was like just being with my
Yeah.
family again. But of course, looking back in hindsight, I would have loved to really have more time to train. I had 3 weeks. Okay, I won in March and then Holy Week. Syempre, they'll give Holy Week to you, right? Rest, do whatever, and then we're gonna go train nonstop. But what was the training? There wasn't really much. It was like, I remember we chose the gowns. I mean, at that time, you would never think that there's one section of the Araneta Coliseum that's just so beautiful.
Which part of Araneta was that? Bahay na Puti?
No, inside the Coliseum. And I used to say, why are these rooms so beautiful? They look like 5-star suites in hotels. I'll show you photos. And then it's like there were rooms like as big as walk-in closets with all the designer gowns, all the accessories. Yes.
So you got
actually when I saw the team recently for this event, I said, "Where are those rooms? They're gone." And there was a time. Well, they have a little. They just started professionalizing it. Wala na kasi I think the concerts don't happen there anymore. It's just, and I remember it's just all these rooms. I think when Julio Iglesias would have a concert.
Yes.
So it was just beautiful. I was like, wow.
So you got to pick your own gown
Yeah.
for the finals?
No, I had to choose it with them. And it wasn't just Mrs. Araneta. It was deciding. I mean, there were hours of like, wear this. It was just trying on so many clothes, taking photos, wala pang digital cam, diba? And then she would have like maybe 6 of these amazing women on her team just organize everything. You know, when I left for Binibini, there were like photos of this. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, you really.
So that's where you got your white gown.
Yeah, my white gown. Actually, I was supposed to wear something completely different.
For the finals.
For the finals.
Uh-huh.
But back in the day, it was like
Who made that gown? That white gown?
Bob Mackie.
Yeah.
Bob Mackie.
Wow, talagang love ka talaga ni Madam, ha? Designer
Yeah, how
gowns
funny
ka
because
talaga, ha?
So back in the day, it was like if you really looked at Venezuela and
Yeah.
Colombia, and because they were bringing home the crown year after
Yes,
year.
yes.
So what were they doing right? So, and your
Instinct.
evening gown was your like secret weapon. In fact, the dramas, it's amazing. Like people, I never talked about this, but the drama was like someone stole my gown. There was that. I mean, we had what do you call them? The ones that would, not bodyguards, but they were like our angels. They're just always, like watching over us.
Guarding, making sure.
Yeah, making sure that there was, but people would like end up with like gowns being lost.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's how
But
intense the
so the
competition.
rumor was that the team, or like what Venezuela and Colombia, their gowns would be in white. So, and that news would not come from me. I'd keep an eye out, but
Sino po
somehow
yung mga chaperones nyo?
Mrs. Araneta would like also be in the know. So she would be like,
Did she come to your pageant?
yes, of course. So she said, I think white's going to be the, because fax machine pa yun eh. That's how it communicates.
I think white. Pero,
Yes. So,
in account of what she also had heard, na
yes.
both Venezuela and
So
Colombia
she's like,
would be wearing white.
choose white. And I remember I had like 2 white gowns. I'm like, okay, which one? This one or this one? The other one was like so like Cinderella-like.
Ball gown.
But that wasn't the uso then. So we chose the other one. But I wasn't in love with that gown, that white gown.
Ang importante, kung ano yung mapili mo, dapat fit.
But it was fun. It's just that after a while, I felt like tired. Because I remember in the vlog, I just said, you spend so many weeks on people telling you
What
how
to
to
wear.
dress, what to wear, and
How
then
to walk.
one day I'm like standing there and it's like looking at the mirror, not at myself, but I'm looking for me. It's like what happened to Dindi. Where is she? Because this is now a creation of, it's like a person, who was told to do this, wear this, your makeup should be this, and and I appreciate that, of course, but you just have your moment with yourself, and then you ask, is this really me? It's like, after this, then what? And then again, the question of like beauty. What is beauty? Because I remember, I'm used to seeing beauty as an overall thing. Up until this day, I'm not going to tell someone, oh, you're beautiful, just because when I say you're beautiful, that's like everything else.
Yeah.
Everything
Because
else.
she's standing out in her
And-
own right.
And again, it's like, I'm not going to say like, oh, she's beautiful because of, I think everyone is beautiful, really. There's just something there. Yeah.
So, nung hindi ka na tinawag, kanino ka na nag-shift ng allegiance mo? Or, sige, if I won't win, I want this girl to win. Yung mga ganyan.
From day one, my favorite was Dayanara. I knew.
Really?
I knew. I
Tell me so.
because she had that X factor. And she, for me, was not contrived. If you saw Dayanara just during the entire pageant, she was just herself, warm, friendly, not like, this is me, I'm beautiful. She was just, she was just
natural. She was just
radiant.
being herself, yeah.
She was being herself. She was genuinely friendly. We didn't get close.
You felt her authenticity.
She was authentic.
Oh, you didn't get the chance to...
No, I met her. I really got to know her when we had a Miss Universe here the following year.
Yes, because we hosted the pageant.
Yes, and then she had
the year after.
Yeah, she came before the pageant. So we got to hang out with her. And then, of course, she ended up living here. And then, naturally, she was my kabatch. So we kept in touch. We kept in touch all the way up until, I think, New York, when I lived there. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So overall, despite
But
not
she
being-
was my Miss Universe.
So you knew. You knew.
Yeah.
Talaga. Kahit na ang
I
dami
mean,
ring mga ibang Latinas.
I'll say, yeah, I'll root for everyone, but she was my Miss Universe. She was my choice from day one. And I think I told Mrs. Araneta that. She goes, who's strong there? I'm like, for me, Puerto Rico. They're like, huh? Not Colombia?
Not Venezuela?
Well, they're strong, of course, but you're
Paano
asking
yung fax
me.
machine pa rin kayo nag-uusap ni Madam noon?
Yeah.
So, first,
Right?
alam
I
mo,
should have kept the
ini-imagine ko-
letters.
Oo.
That would have
Yung
been nice. But
correspondence.
nagka-fade yun after a
Oo
while.
nga, kasi thermal paper. So overall, ma'am, despite, not getting what you really wanted, you still had a great experience in Miss Universe,
I did.
life-changing.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know,
That's a forever memory. I mean, it's just, it was such a beautiful experience. Yeah.
so as I try to digest everything that you went through, I realized, no, maybe God put you in this kind of position for you, I don't know, learn something about yourself,
Yeah, absolutely.
become more mature, develop
Yes.
wisdom, 'di ba? Kasi especially now, 'di ba, with the rivalry that you went through, sabi mo nga, mas intense pa sa local pageant kaysa sa Miss Universe. You know, it was really meant for you all along. Kasi a lot of pageant fans, hanggang ngayon ha, for sure hindi ka na maniniwala, nagde-debate pa kami. You know, for
I
us
haven't
to have
followed pageants
for us to
in so
have better
long.
chances that year, Dindi with her sweet personality could have gone to
Yeah, I know.
World.
They always say I'm sweet. I'm sweet, but
Rufa could have
you know.
gone to Universe.
Yeah.
We
I'm
could
not
have
really
better.
sweet. No, I
Magaling ka
am.
mag-project.
I am, but I am
Mabuti
way-
magaling ka ng actress kasi.
No, naman. It's just, yeah, I could see what you. I'm softer. I'm softer. Yeah. But looking back, it's like, I always think that I'm a winner. We're all winners, whether you brought home the crown or not, because the lessons will hopefully make you a better person.
Yes.
Right? It's the wisdom. You ask me, how have you been the last 30 years? Well, wow. How do I sum that up? I mean, I'm still standing tall, aging gracefully
Yes.
with more wisdom and less hairspray. I mean, I like that. That for me is something just beautiful, like I said, I've always been in search of the real meaning of beauty, because after a while, it's like all the physical, I mean, all of that fades. You will not always look like you're 20 or, so what's left? Like, it's the essence of someone.
So I assume, would that be your advice to the next Miss Universe Philippines who will be competing
Wow,
in
that's
Mexico
such a hard question.
later this year?
Well, I will be honest with you. I have not, it's been 31 years. I can't say that, I'm following everybody. Like, I'm most of the time clueless. Maybe I'm the wrong person to ask advice from, because I'll give you something like really just corny.
Yes.
Because I'm not the person saying, yeah, you have to, I don't know. I don't know what pageants are like today, but I just know that, like I said earlier, someone will give you tips on like how to communicate better, how to walk, which gown to wear. But if you don't allow your unique self to come out and be a part of this, you're gonna look just like everyone else's creation, and you won't have that X factor. So that's when you show up for you, because there's only one you.
You have to find your own uniqueness.
Yes, and I think being there, you're already unique. You don't have to be in a pageant to be unique. We're just born unique. So you just have to embrace that and mix that in with everything else. And there's nothing like being authentically you, unapologetically you. I don't know what that means to someone, but I'm just saying that there's something beautiful in someone being natural, just like the way I saw Diana. It wasn't like, you see Venezuela, Colombia, they're really like poised, sometimes studied, most of the time I think studied, being honest. But Dayanara was like, she lost more weight after the pageant. I think we all know that, because during the Miss Universe, she had a fuller face, but she was just so at home with just her own. She knew that she had something other than physical beauty, and that just stood out. Of course, she was beautiful, right? But she didn't even have to even
make an effort,
try.
exert an effort.
That's the thing. She was
stand out.
effortless.
Yeah.
During the pageant, she was so charming, and I'm like, that's my Miss Universe. So
I think we're gonna, as the pageant takes place in Mexico later
yeah, and
this
it's
year,
also like,
we're gonna look out for that.
there was a time I actually honestly felt like I turned down some interviews because, I mean, I'm sure people will get offended when I say, oh, it's not relevant, is that still relevant today? But I realized that today back in the day, pageants were different. The walk was different. It was more queenly, but times have changed, right? It's modernized. They also eliminated the Little Sisters program because these are charities, and we partnered with like Little Sisters of Mexico. So Philippines had like your Philippine, and they would walk you down during the evening gown competition. And so like today, it's just different, but the beauty of today is that they fight for a cause,
Yes.
right? Most of them have that, right?
Yes.
I just
Advocacies, yeah.
yes. So I think that's something wonderful, because back in the day it was different. You had it, but then that wasn't really the focus. It was somewhat different. It was nice to have.
It was more physical.
Yeah, it was more physical.
Now it's more
Now,
all-encompassing.
that's really good because we
Yeah.
need more of that, right? And if you can use that platform to give voice to a cause, you're already a winner.
Dindi Gallardo for Mrs. Universe.
No, I have this joke. Whenever I have some friends say, "You're my favorite Miss Universe," I always say, Missed
Missed.
Universe. But I don't know. I just, well, I'd like to think I'm a beauty queen with the way I define beauty myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that matters to me. Like, you can say whatever you want about me, that I didn't deserve the crown, or I am not as intelligent, or I fumbled. That's okay, because I know who I am, and I can't say it never bothered me. When I was younger, I'd be like, wow, because you take things to heart. You're like, wow, grabe naman, why are they like that? But after a while, I look back, and I'm looking at I'm so grateful for the experience and for experiencing also the negativity, because it made me more solid inside. It made me who I am today. And for me, that's already like,
A big win.
a big win. Yeah.
So there you go, guys. Wow. Thank you so much. I think we just had an hour of real conversation about life in general as well.
Yes.
When it comes to looking back to your pageant experience, thank you for being so heartwarming and generous in,
Thank you, Adam. I
in
also
sharing your
like
stories. Wow. I know it's been 30 years,
it's-
but the way you vividly recall it, wow, it's as if it was just
no,
yesterday.
and thank you for like such a nice, warm welcome, and such a real conversation. You're also such a good listener.
Yes.
I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
And I used to say I miss Ate Ludes, because I was such a newbie and so nervous that there were several interviews, but right after I won the pageant, I was not the favorite, but she just
you
really would
feel.
listen to you, which a lot of people, it wasn't about her, it was about the guest. And thank you for giving me that. I just, I feel safe and comfortable, and yeah, thanks so much.
Wow. Sana kunin ka ng MUP to be a judge or ng Binibining Pilipinas. Kasi parang ang ganda lang, full circle now you're as a judge to the candidate, to our candidate, or our next candidate who will be sent to Mexico. I just I don't know, parang full circle lang. But anyway, that's just my pipe thing. But anyway, thank you so much again.
Thank
I
you,
really had a
Adam.
blast getting to know you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It really means a lot to me and my followers to really get a former beauty queen like you to talk about their pageant journey in the past. Marami pong salamat. You just don't know how a lot of Beckys you will
I
make.
don't know if I'm like their
You-
favorite. I bet
You
you
make
like
everyone be so happy in listening, in sharing all these things.
the reluctant beauty queen.
Oo, the wrong lockdown. Everyone could relate with you, even 31 years after. So, marami pong salamat uli, guys. I hope you had a great time tuning into this history-making, once-in-a-lifetime interview with Miss Dindi Gallardo. Until my next interview, guys, God bless you all. Bye!
Bye.